Wrapped in a towel and inside a half-open cardboard box. That's how Flora Mayeri and her daughter found a newborn baby on their doorstep yesterday, just after nightfall.
And open it, and what we saw is a box over there.
The baby was so new, her hair was wet, and there were signs that the umbilical cord had just been cut. The household couldn't have been more shocked.
A little thing like that, something that we don't know, just like that. Oh, a baby!
The parent or parents couldn't have picked a better place to leave the baby, considering Flora Mayeri worked in the maternity ward of a Philippines hospital for 22 years.
She seems to be very healthy, no problems, she's eating well, and she seems to be doing very well.
Child Protective Services now has custody of the baby, and they're looking for any leads to find the parents. Flora's son, Ernesto, would also like to find them to help.
Maybe I can give a moral advice to the parents and give a little money or a little clothes, something. Today's Thanksgiving and Christmas is coming, and I want to tell them, make up your mind, get your baby. It will be a good luck for you.
The family plans to visit this Thanksgiving baby sometime this weekend. Leonard Ozizwe Way, News 8, Chula Vista.
Let's get you all settled down, sweetie. You don't want to cry for the camera.
One life left alone. Delicate, a survivor. She was abandoned on a doorstep, wrapped in 2 towels, and placed in a box that once contained an electric fan. The fan was fragile. Baby Doe is tough. Today, the search for who she is and who is her mother. Chula Vista police agent Jack Haskins was looking for clues.
Hair that looks like it's lighter on the end and on one end than the other.
The infant was found at the home of Flora Mayeri. The only warning was a ringing doorbell. Inside the box, a baby who was doing fine.
She was born at 6 pounds 5 ounces, and today she weighs 6 pounds 2 ounces, which is a normal weight loss for a newborn.
Police say the child may have been born in a motel. She was wiped clean, no evidence of the birth on the towels.
We'll have to get the information out to the hotels or motels to see if there's any evidence of any birth in the room or a lot of blood or material inside of the room.
One towel had either the name of a motel or a stenciled name torn away. Is the mother a young, frightened, unmarried person? Or is the child that of a prostitute? So many questions, so small a child. Baby Doe is a gift, born into neglect. This is the season of giving, and the decorations are up here in Chula Vista. Eventually, a family will be found who will accept the child and give her the love she desperately needs. John Kalia, News 8, Chula Vista. Yes, she's a girl, but even if she could talk, she couldn't tell you her name. She's probably 4 days old. Lots of things about her are uncertain. Wednesday night, she was found in this box, born perhaps 24 hours earlier. To look at her, you wouldn't know she's created quite a fuss.
She's been a very quiet baby. She likes to sleep, apparently.
When someone walked up to the door of Flora Mayeri's home, they left the baby in a box, rang the doorbell, and slipped away into the night. The child's umbilical cord had been properly cut. There was some normal bleeding on the baby's clothes. But a clue may have been torn from the towel the child was wrapped in.
A logo of some kind, maybe a hotel or motel logo, was ripped off. This one doesn't have one. It just looks like it's been recently or freshly ripped off, not laundered after it's been torn off.
Police will now work the neighborhoods in Chula Vista to see if the mother can be located. And investigators will also go to the streets.
I'll check with the CSU units, our crime suppression unit, to see if there's any prostitutes on the street that they're aware of, possibly Hispanics that were pregnant, and then see if we can round them up to see if they gave birth.
At Sharp Hospital, the files of babies with parents who are proud and caring. Off to the side, a file marked Doe for a child awaiting a family that for now is to be announced. One day she's going to have a real name instead of Baby Doe, a real family instead of social workers, a home instead of a cardboard box. She's probably had more attention in 2 days than most people get in a lifetime. And one day, someone is going to tell her quite a story. John Kalia, News 8, Sharp Memorial Hospital.
Susan, investigators still don't know who abandoned a baby a month ago on a doorstep in Paradise Valley. The little girl's living with foster parents until the mystery is solved, but very often these cases have happy endings. Tonight, only at 11, we're pleased to show you one of them.
Yeah, let's get you all settled down, sweetie.
If you watched the news just before Thanksgiving 2 years ago, you'll remember little baby Doe. She was abandoned on a doorstep in Chula Vista, wrapped in clean towels, tucked in a box. Someone rang the doorbell and ran.
The staff at Sharp Hospital immediately fell in love with the little girl, but some of them felt anger, too, toward the birth mother.
Connie Funke was on duty. She remembers it well.
I think there were those that wondered about whatever the mother's circumstances were that did that, but at least she abandoned the baby on a doorstep where it would be readily found.
Finding the mother wasn't as easy. Investigators had few clues, so baby Doe went to a foster home where the family knew not to get too attached. It's only temporary. Tough duty.
No, it's not easy. At all times, they must realize that their first role is as foster parents, and that should the biological parents step forward, they will be helping those parents in reunification efforts.
And yes, it is against the law to abandon a baby. So when the parent is found, technically, she could be prosecuted. Realistically, though, it seldom happens.
It's simply a sadness of our society that people resort to such extreme measures, and not one that really benefits from criminal prosecution, but rather social services.
And if that help isn't successful in the county's judgment, or if the biological parent is never found, a permanent home is arranged. Right now, there are about 100 families approved and waiting for a healthy infant, another 50 families willing to take special needs children. Mike and Marcy were on the list 2 years ago. It was about 10 weeks later that a social worker called them about baby Doe.
A match is a very sensitive thing. We're creating lifelong families.
Yet the process has been streamlined to get the babies placed as soon as possible.
You do take a chance because the child could be pulled from your home. But on the other hand, you have a good chance of having a child and having those wonderful times when they're young.
It's a real wonderful thing for the children.
But until the adoption is legally complete, nothing is certain. Tomorrow night, they'll tell us what it's like to go through that. And we'll meet baby Doe as she is today, a healthy, happy child in a loving home.
And we're especially grateful to Mike and Marcy for sharing their story with us. It takes courage to come out and talk about personal issues in public, but they say they wanted to do it so everyone would know that adoptions do work. And only at 11, a happy ending to a story with a sad beginning. When a baby is abandoned in our community, there's a new streamlined system to get the child in a permanent home as soon as possible. That's what happened to baby Doe 2 years ago. And tonight, only at 11, we'll meet the child and the family who have a bright future together.
Come and sit with Daddy, man.
Mike and Marcy know what it's like to adopt. They were foster parents for their first son, Lonnie, for 7 years before it became final. They adopted their second son, Eric, when he was 2 days old in Mexico.
Let's get you all settled down.
But baby Doe was a whole new experience. Her biological mother left her on a doorstep in Chula Vista.
After a brief hospital stay, the baby spent the next 10 weeks in foster care. Then one day, Mike and Marcy got a phone call that changed their lives.
We walked in the house and Lonnie said, hey, they called about a baby girl, and we went nuts.
Now, they don't give you any of the information when they first call. They just say they have a child for you.
The couple hadn't seen the news reports. They were out of town. And sometimes an abandoned child isn't the easiest to accept.
Some families feel insecure without having background information. They feel that they don't want to commit to a child for a lifetime unless they know where the child came from biologically.
You have no background information at all. She appeared to be healthy. That was all they could tell us about her. They also told us at that point that she was not free, and they did not know what would happen in the future.
But Mike and Marcy had faith. Besides, they wanted that baby, and that first bonding is still strong today.
It wasn't where it came from. It was just that, you know, she was a girl and we had this great opportunity. That's just how we kind of looked at it. And if it was meant to be, it would work out.
All it took was one look that first night.
Oh, she was wonderful. We just died. I mean, it was just,
We didn't want to leave.
They named her Allison. They say they were too full of joy and excitement to worry that her natural mother would claim her. In fact, she did come forward a few months later. After counseling, she decided to give up Allison permanently. The family thinks of that young woman and what she did with understanding.
So we feel like she did the best that she could at that point for her child, that she really was at a point in her life where there was no other choice for her.
You have a child here that's been abandoned, and you think of what it must take for a gal to give up her child.
There is no doubt in our mind that she loves her.